Welcome back, Chili Peppers. So, we have officially entered September, and yeah, it sucks because the cold weather's coming faster than we can even blink, or faster than we can imagine. But right now in your local area, a lot of your local fruits are going crazy. So do me a favor and definitely support your local farmers. If you haven't been into a peach from your local farmer versus your local Walmart, you need to do it because it'll change your life. So I've had a bunch of questions on, now that we're in peach season here, if I want to put a peach tree in my yard, how do I start a seed? And I know that can be a little bit strange because it's what's considered a stone fruit. We've all bitten into one of these awesome things. And this is what's in the center, your peach pit. Now I've seen tons of videos that say you have to crack this thing open. We're gonna go through today and I'm gonna show you the different ways that we can turn this peach pit into a tree in your backyard that produces fruit. And it'll produce fruit faster than you probably think it will. Hopefully I brought everything out here I need. But let's take a look and let me show you. Now this can apply to any peach. It doesn't have to be your local grower. It could be your local grocery store. But I encourage you to go to your local grower. So when you open that peach up, there's what you've got. You just have your peach pit, and the wind's blowing my stuff away on me. You just have your peach pit and a delicious peach. So the first thing I want you to do is stop overthinking it. Just about any kind of fruit out there, nature has figured it out. It drops the peach. The peach disintegrates over time, goes back into part of the soil. The peach pit gets covered up by leaves, gets wet, goes through the cold, because we do have to have cold stratification, and we'll go over that in just a minute. Sprouts a new peach tree, the peach tree grows, and on and on and on. Us as humans, we overcomplicate it. And I don't like overcomplicating anything. So the first method I'm probably going to show you is what I consider the easiest and the most natural. Get yourself one of your little pots that you've used all season long. Grab you some good soil. I'm using Pro Mix. Eat you a peach. Steal that peach pit out of there. First thing I usually do is throw it in some water and make sure it sinks. Now, this isn't 100%. I have had seeds that float, still germinate just fine, even though most people will tell you if they float, they're not viable. That's not always true. So we know that this one sinks. There's probably a good chance that it's going to germinate and turn into a peach tree. Now at this point you can decide. Some people like to soak it in water for 6 to 24 hours, whatever floats your boat. You don't have to. It might help, especially if you're going to leave it inside the pit itself. It might just help soften up that pit. But like I said, you don't have to. And any of these steps that I'm going to show you today, you technically don't have to. And by the end of the video, you'll see why. So my preferred method is you can just take some soil, throw it in one of your pots, stick your pit down in there, top it off with soil, get that soil nice and moist. If you can stay on top of it, you can just keep wetting the soil, but you want to put this in the refrigerator because peaches need what's called cold stratification. And that's actually very simple. It's 1 to 3 months, somewhere below 45 degrees, but above freezing. You don't want to go into the freezing stage. You want to keep it 32 to 45 degrees. And that's just what I found in my experience. All we're doing is mimicking nature in most of what we do in any kind of raised bed gardening or artificial type gardening when we're changing the conditions. Now don't let that scare you. All we're doing is mimicking Mother Nature. The peach falls off the tree, it disintegrates, it biodegrades, whatever. The seed sits there on the ground, the leaves fall because we go into fall. The leaves fall and they start to decompose and become part of the soil. And then that seed sits there through the winter time, through the cold temperatures. And then when the spring hits, it's off and running, it sprouts and it's ready to run. That's all we're trying to mimic. So don't let this bother you. It's super easy. The next method has been kind of hit and miss for me over the years with not just peaches, but pretty much every other kind of fruit that I've tried it with. And that is, grab yourself some paper towel, throw your peach pits in the paper towel, fold it up, Wet it, don't soak it, but just wet it. Put it inside of a Ziploc bag and then stick it in one of the drawers in your refrigerator, and then check on it every week or two just to make sure that the paper towel stays damp. After a month or two, you'll be able to see it. When you open it up, you'll be able to see it sprout. You take that and stick it in soil. Pretty simple. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than that. The problem is I always tend to run into some kind of mold issue or something like that. And it's been a pain in my behind, so I'm not doing it that way anymore. Now, before we go on to the last method, let's talk about, do we leave the seed inside the pit, or do we just plant the whole pit? Now, in Mother Nature, you don't have anybody running around with pliers, cracking it open and getting the seed out. We're going to do it both ways, and then we'll follow it through, and I'll do a follow-up video and show you which ways work best for me. But if you decide that you want to take the seed out of the pit, you can do it with pliers, you can do it with cutters, anything you can get your hand on. We all have tools laying everywhere. At least we hope we have tools laying everywhere. Most of the time, if you use your cutters that you probably carry around the garden with you anyway, and you just give that end a snip, then we can take our pliers and get them adjusted just right. So we're going to put pressure on it, and basically you crack it like a walnut. You hear that? And we just work our way around and crack the whole shell. And once you bust that thing out, all you have is a little seed inside, just like a seed for anything else. Now I do usually, if I do it this method, I do usually soak the seed because it's been in that pit where it hasn't had any moisture. But I don't have any scientific guarantee behind why I do that, but that is what I do. So the choice is definitely up to you. Take the seed out, leave the seed in, both work just fine. Don't let anybody tell you any different. And if you look here, I've got a bunch of my local seeds, and I'll do some of them one way, some of them the other way. And then lastly, we're gonna do some of them the easiest way you could ever imagine, and probably the best way for most people. I'm serious. Look at these peaches. Our Palisade peaches are absolutely unbelievable. I wish it could be peach season all year long here. Now for this last method, definitely don't overthink it. And I know you're gonna think I'm BSing you, but it's super simple. Take that peach pit. We've got raised beds and containers and in-ground gardens all over the place if you're watching this channel anyway. Take the peach pit, go to one of your beds that have something that isn't going to last until next year, which nothing in this outside garden is going to last till next year, and push that peach pit down in the soil, cover it up, and wait to see what sprouts next year. It's actually that easy. Now, in my opinion, that is probably the best method for most people. Once it sprouts, you do have to remember where you planted it. But once it sprouts, you just dig that up and put it in a pot if that's how you're going to grow it for a while, or out in your yard. So don't be afraid to take your pits from all your fruits and just stick it in your garden. Stick it in your garden, keep it watered, and see what pops up next year. What do you have to lose? If nothing pops up, okay. But I'll bet you something does. So I'm going to do a whole bunch of them in all these different ways, and then we're going to start next year's YouTube season, next year's YouTube garden season. We'll start by looking to see what happens and what way works best. The main thing that you have to remember is a stone fruit, which is peach, and if you didn't know, a nectarine is basically a peach. It's without fuzz. But if it's a stone fruit, it's going to need the cold stratification, which is nothing more than just a complicated way of saying you have to mimic wintertime and the seed has to see the cold or it's not going to sprout. That simple. So stick around. It's going to be a long winter. We're going to do a bunch of little videos through the winter still about growing, because you don't want to quit growing just because it's cold outside. And then we'll start next season off and you'll get to see right along with me, because I plan on planting some peach trees out in the yards this year and supplying my own peaches for my kids and grandkids to come. Hey, if this video was right up your alley, do me a huge favor. Hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, please do that for me. I can't tell you how much it helps a little channel like mine, and I definitely want you to be around next year when the season starts, so you can see what happened with all these different peach seeds. And then maybe a couple years down the road, you'll get to see the peaches off of my trees. I'm Steve, aka the Chili Prepper, and we'll see you on the next one.